Justice League International Annual Number 1, written by Jeff Johns and Dan DiDio, art by Jason Fabik. It's the last issue. This is wrapping up everything, and who boy do they wrap it up. By the way, spoilers for Justice League number 12, if you haven't checked that one out. So, this issue opens up with some country in Central Africa. A warlord has taken 5 UN inspectors captive, and despite trying to find peaceful situation out of it, Justice League International has been called in order to solve the scenario. And so Green Lantern's just hovering over the ground menacingly, saying hey, isn't the actual Justice League supposed to show up to this booster? And Booster over the comms is like, they're just running a bit late, they're definitely on their way. And he's like, I don't believe you, but okay, let's deal with this. So OMAC shows up, and the whole rest of the team's doing whatever. And then we see the warlord, his name is Mukasa, and he's holding the hostages next to him, and Batwing swoops in, who I believe said he wasn't on the team as of last issue, but I guess they figured, oh wait, we're canceled, so may as well stay on the team for a little bit. And he swoops in, grabs Mukasa, saves the hostages, but then Mukasa is wearing a vest that is laced with explosives, and he presses the button and he explodes because he would rather die than be taken in and sentenced to death their way. So at that point, Booster's like, guys, we're supposed to bring him in alive. And it's like, whatever, dude, we saved the hostages, who cares? Who cares? We're doing our thing here. It's like, yeah, but we need to impress the UN. It's like, who cares, Booster? We are D-list. No one cares what we do. So it's like, all right, fine, whatever. Anyway, get back to DC. We've got visitors. So at this point, Batwing chooses to stay behind because he's something with the League of Assassins is apparently wrapped up in this. I don't know. But as they're leaving OMAC, something tweaks in his eye, and Brother Eye, a.k.a. the thing that controlled him for so long, is overwriting his actual just human self. So he's currently being overridden as they all fly away. And then as the group reaches back to DC, Booster explains, hey, despite the fact that we failed entirely, the UN is impressed enough that they approved my plan to expand the team. And we have 2 new members, Blue Beetle, as seen in Blue Beetle, and the Olympian, who is, I guess, original. I mean, apparently he came from before the New 52, but he's a god, but not actually. So anyway, Guy sees this and he's like, all right, I'm a bounce, I'm out of here. And Booster's like, wait, what? Why are you leaving? He's like, dude, you lied. You said that the Justice League was coming. Here's the thing, though. I'm not going to be a part of whatever sort of political agenda you've got. Clearly, you're doing this for, fame and, to be noticed rather than doing this for the right reasons. I'm not here for that. And Booster's like, that's not what this is. And he's like, yeah, no, definitely not what it is. I'm leaving. So he bails. Godiva apparently had a history with the Olympian, and Olympian's like, I sold you out to the gods once before so that I might gain power, but I gave it all up to be back with you. Let me love you. And she's like, nah, that's not going to happen. And then Blue Beetle's like, hey, is Cyborg going to be here? Because I kind of, I got a technological question about alien tech grafted in my body, and I think Cyborg would know what's up. And OMAC, Booster Gold comes in and says, OMAC's also doing with his own technological stuff. Don't worry, we'll help you out. You're safe here as long as you're part of the team. And then it's like, by the way, where is OMAC? He left down to the archive room, so August General goes down to deal with him. And Booster's like, oh boy, starting of a new Justice League. So as August General goes down to find OMAC, turns out he's actually in the security room. And as he goes to tap him on the shoulder, he gets electrified. And it's like, oh, okay. So Kevin's been overtaken by Brother Eye. It's time to fight against him. And immediately OMAC just turns around, grabs August General by the neck and be like, yeah, you're not going to survive through this. So the rest of the team's walking down the halls trying to find where they went to. And we see OMAC standing there with the headless body of August General. And turns out he is still alive, but he's in an intense amount of pain. So at that point, everyone's like, okay, big battle time. Booster Gold tells Blue Beetle to shut down the uplink because that was the whole thing that Brother Eye was trying to do. and he's trying to get his body. Sorry, Brother Eye is trying to get his programming out of this body and back to the satellite that Brother Eye previously existed in. And as to do so, he has to uplink with the satellite. So Olympian goes in first. Omac just knocks him on his ass. At that point, Godiva attacks. He knocks her on her ass. And he's doing it by reading through, like, history files and, like, the files that they have on each of these heroes in order to find their weaknesses. Booster Gold then goes for the attack, and he realizes, oh, I don't have yours because you came from the future. But you're also definitely just like a dick who's in this for the fame and fortune and not actually in it. Like, why did you not memorize the stuff in the future that would help you combat like actual disasters if you weren't in it for just fame and fortune? He's like, shut up, I'm doing my best. So at that point, Blue Beetle steps in, and he actually has the power to take on Omac for a little bit, but he is still able to read Blue Beetle's file, and he uses his link with technology, Omac does, to send Blue Beetle through a portal back to the Reach homeworld, which is not what's going on in the Blue Beetle book at the moment, so I am very confused as to how we're going to square that circle. But regardless, Godiva and Booster Gold, they get up, they run into one of the safe rooms, and they're like, okay, just got to wait for the Justice League, right, Booster? That's all we got to do? And Booster's like, yeah, no, Justice League isn't coming. I lied. They don't even know we exist. Oh, we're screwed. I'm sorry. I'm such a fraud, Godiva. I'm a horrible person. And then Godiva kisses him, and she's like, hey, we all have our issues. Just let's try to deal with this. So Booster takes on Omac one-on-one while Godiva gets August General out. And he uses his 20th century technology to overwrite part of Omac's thing so that it's actually like a virus that's corrupting him. So Brother Eye has to leave Kevin's body in order to continue to survive. And so he does so and uplinks himself to the satellite, thus allowing him to perpetuate. And so then he's like, all right, well, guess I did it, but hold on. Everything's frozen in time. What's going on? And he looks behind him and sees a future version of himself stop in. And he's like, hey, here's the deal. I'm you. I'm from the future. I've come back because you need to get to the Justice League and stop them from, like, doing this thing, or else everything is going to be wiped out. Like, we'll cease to exist. And Booster, the future Booster, looks up on the monitor and sees Superman and Wonder Woman kissing from the end of Justice League 12, and he just starts to fade away. He's like, no, this can't happen. Don't let this happen. And then Booster from the current time looks up, and he's like, wait a minute. Is this what I'm supposed to stop? Is that what I'm doing? What's going on? And he fades away as well. And in the end, Booster's gone. So then we cut to Batman, who's in Star Labs, looking over Kevin, who's being treated by Silas Stone, trying to figure out what's going on with him. And as Batman's leaving, he's like, hey, is there... like, what happened to Booster and Blue Beetle? And it's like, there's no trace of them at all. They just vanished. Godiva and August General survived. And future Booster actually mentions how they're going to be forming a new team called the Global Guardians. And that's going to be their purpose. But, yeah, as for Booster and Blue Beetle, they just vanished. And so as Batman's leaving, he's stopped by some monitors that have Brother Eye on it. And Brother Eye says, like, hey, Batman, I know that you're my creator, but I have a new programmer now, and that new programmer is going to kill you. And Batman's like, yeah, all right, whatever. I've been threatened before. Whatever, Brother Eye. And Brother Eye's like, oh, well, keep an eye out, Batman. He's coming. He is coming for you. Join him or die. And that's the end of the issue. Yeah, so Jeff Johns writing this. This is basically just set up for a future Justice League arc, it seems like, where we're just setting up all this extra stuff with Brother Eye. I'm interested. I'm intrigued by it. I think Olympian was, like, the most unnecessary addition to this at all. Like, he didn't even say he joined the Global Guardians. He just was on this team and then bailed. So, Blue Beetle's going to be an interesting development. See how they deal with that. And, of course, Booster, as far as I can tell, he wasn't wiped from the timeline. Like, he still exists, but he went full-on Michael J. Fox and Back to the Future. So I'm interested. I'm very interested to see how this all turns out. Jason Fabok's art is fantastic on every page, as he always is. He is a fantastic artist, and I look forward to seeing him on future Justice League. But as for this issue, I'm going to go ahead and give it I'll give it an 8.5. I think it is a solid wrap up to Justice League International as a whole. It sets up where each of the different players are and what they're doing, and it while it didn't end in a way that like wraps up the story arc, it set forward new stories that can be told from it. So I'm definitely intrigued to see how this is going to play out in the future, and definitely worth a read if you haven't checked it out.